what's going on, beautiful jellyfish? It's Tracy, and today I'm going to be doing my Grixis controlled deck tech for you guys. So I've had this deck together for, I don't know, 5 months now, almost 6 months, and I've never done a deck tech on it. I have no idea. This was my main modern deck that I played for a while, longest I've ever played a modern deck actually. And wanted to basically talk about this deck. This deck has evolved since I built it. Ancestral Visions was unbanned, and people were synergizing that with Goblin Dark Dwellers. You will notice that my list is not doing that. This is, I would say, an older version of the list. There's some kind of interesting things that I do in here that I do want to talk to you guys about and be like, hey, this is why I do these things. This deck was really sweet, and I'm going to miss it. I'm actually going to be taking this apart. I'm going to be building something else. Stay tuned for that video. That'll be up soon, where I talk about basically that. This deck, there's nothing wrong with it. It's not like I don't like it. I just kind of want to change. I want to try something out. So basically, let's just talk about this deck. Let's just, get in there and we'll go. So I'm going to start with sorceries in the deck. So here's what we do for our hand disruption spells. I run, let me actually zoom this in a little bit. There we go. Okay, I run 3 Inquisitions in this deck, 2 Thoughtseize. I've talked about these types of cards for a very long time. Completely up to you. A lot of people think that Inquisition is better, a lot of people think Thoughtseize is better. I like pretty much an even mix. I think the reason why I just happened to get another Inquisition was because that was just what I got. A lot of people would lean more towards this. Some people do 4, 5, 6 hand disruption spells. It totally depends. I'm actually kind of just over hand disruption spells, I think, for right now. Like, I like them, but I'm not in love. That's kind of one reason why I'm changing decks, but I'll talk about that, in that video. But, yeah, honestly, the numbers of these, I think these are fine. I like having Thoughtseize because you lose life, but you get to take anything. It's also really good against Tron. Inquisition is just awful against Tron. You take, like, their Expedition map, they don't even care. Or they're like Ancient Stirrings or whatever. They're good, they're fine early, but late game they're just really awful. I mean, I guess they're just access to information, but that's these cards. Yeah. Okay, now we have Serum Visions. Yeah, I mean, playing blue and modern, going to be wanting to run Serum Visions. Is this the best, card ever in modern? No, not even close. But it's the best thing we have since we don't have Preordained, Ponder, or Brainstorm in the format. Serum Visions is pretty okay. You just kind of need it for this deck. Like, this is kind of one of those things that's really not negotiable. You can kind of toy around with the Thoughtseize Inquisitions numbers, but you can't really toy around with Serum Visions. You kind of just need a playset. So, yeah, that's that set. We're going to talk about this juice. This juice here. It's a little card called Rise Fall. This is a card that you will not see in a lot of people's deck lists. I 1200% recommend this card. This card is nuts. It does basically everything. The fact that you get to bounce something, which is really sweet if they make like a token or something, like their Voice of Resurgence token. Just bounce it. This deck has a really difficult time dealing with voice because it doesn't run path. So you're like, cool, bounce your voice token, return my Snapcaster Mage to my, to my hand. Yeah, that seems really, really sweet. I like that. Then the fall part is nuts. The fact that if your opponent has 5 cards in their hand, 3 cards, whatever, especially if you synergize with Thoughtseize and Inquisition really well, this card's amazing. I've casted fall and just gotten crazy stuff and made them discard it. Card is really not super great. Fall is not super great when you have a deck like Abzan, when you've got a deck like, I think it's Little Kid Abzan that does it, where they have a bunch of, like, hand disruption. They have the things like Wiltleaf Liege and Loxodon Warhammer. Or, no, not Loxodon Warhammer, Loxodon Smiter. This card's not super good when that deck is really popular, but for right now, in this meta, the card is absolutely 1200% insane. I casted Fall against a burn opponent and got 2 lightning bolts. Man, I would have so lost that game if I didn't cast this magic card. Card is insanely amazing. If you're building Grixis control, please get that card. Okay, so then we're going to move along to our instance. The deck runs 3 Thought Scours. You'll check out a lot of lists that run 4 Thought Scours. Myself personally, I found that 3 is a pretty fair number. This card is all around really amazing. It's really good Delve fuel for Tasigur if you want to cast a turn 2 Tasigur. this is the card you're going to be looking at right here to get a turn 2 Tassiger off. Or if you're, I think you can actually probably get a turn, if you run Gurmag Angler, I think you can get that off. I personally prefer Tassiger over Gurmag Angler. The fact that this card is instant speed, 1 mana, you mill 2, you can always mill your opponent too. If you're playing a game and your opponent's like Serum Visions, keep them both on top, you just Thought Scour them, yeah, card's really good. And the fact that you get to draw a card for 1 mana is really, really fantastic. You know, synergizes a little bit awkward, I should say doesn't synergize well with, what is that card called? With fetch lands, or I'm sorry, with Serum Visions, but overall the card is really good. I honestly would probably not run more than 3. I would not scooch, you know, I would not do that, but that's just me. I would not stretch that. Okay, cool. The next, this is a slot that, these are 2 slots that I would easily make something else if I were to redo this deck. Electrolyze. People have mixed feelings on this card. I like Electrolyze. I don't hate it. I don't think it's bad. I just don't love it. The card is really good when Affinity is really strong in the meta. You can get rid of a Memnite, you can get rid of a Vault Scourge, you can get rid of an Ink Moth, a Blink Moth, you get rid of so many different things in that. Or sometimes it's just, you take 2, I draw a card. I think 3 mana is just too much for what this card does, and the fact that it's not good in every matchup I think makes this card not super amazing. Is this card awful? No. Would I run it in a future Grixis control list if I ever built this deck? No. I would definitely. If I were to redo this deck, I would not throw Electrolyze in there. Okay. Then it runs a playset of Lightning Bolts. I mean, pretty straightforward, you know. This is a card that's really, it's so versatile, it really is, because the fact that you can bolt their face, you can bolt their creature, overall just kind of does everything. One of the main kill conditions in the deck, and Snapcaster and Lightning Bolt is like my favorite thing ever. I love that. Cool. Then the deck runs 3 Terminates. Terminate is a really strong removal card when you're not running white, which this deck isn't, like, for Path. This is one of the top removal spells. A lot of times they'll play something that you cannot Lightning Bolt. You're like, that's a cute Siege Rhino, ha ha ha, I can't Lightning Bolt that, and you do not want to Lightning Bolt, Snap Lightning Bolt their Siege Rhino, because that is just awful value, pretty much. You gotta have something like Terminate. I've seen some lists that even run 4 of this card, however, it's not good in every matchup, especially when you have control decks entering the meta more, and you have, Tron decks, because Terminate does not kill Tron, like Big Eldrazi or things like that, so... yeah, overall though, it's a really solid removal card. The fact that it can't be regenerated, I'm honestly trying to think of an instance where that is relevant. I'm only thinking of one incident because I know it's not viable for Thrun because you can't target with Thrun. I think it's like, if someone's running Slivers, I've only seen one person ever run Slivers in Modern, but it's relevant if they regenerate their Slivers, which you're never gonna run into. Okay, then the deck runs 2 Remands. I'm not really in love with this. Remand's a really weird counterspell, though it does synergize really well with hand disruption spells. If you counter something and then they tap out for it, then you Inquisition or Thoughtseize their thing away, or you fall it with Rise Fall. It's really good, so I do think that Remand is a better counterspell in this deck than in most, you know, decks that are running Remand. It's a soft counterspell, though. You do not care really about countering that spell. I mean, if it's a creature, it's pretty okay because it saves you kind of a turn for, you know, taking damage from that creature. But the fact that the real good part about Remand, let's be real here, is the fact that you get to draw a card off of it. Other than that, this is probably just a really awful counterspell. It is. It's a really awful counterspell. I really wish I didn't have to run it, and I wish we could just run counterspell in Modern because Princess, and that's what I want to run. Okay, now we get to probably, like, the best card in this deck, Culligan's Command. I can't stop talking enough about this card, and I'm gonna be really sad when I take this deck apart and I can't run Culligan's Command anymore. Okay, this card does actually everything that you want it to. Return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. You mean return target Snapcaster Mage from my graveyard to my hand? I'm pretty sure that's what that text says, because yes, it does. Cool. So you know what I really like about Snapcaster Mage? I really like it when I have these instant sorceries that I get to cast again with Snapcaster. But you know what I like even more than that? I like being able to do that again with Snapcaster Mage. Insane with that card. Or, hey, cool, I really like my Peen Karen Alar, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So that's really good. Discards a card. Can I tell you, I've done this really awesome thing that I actually stole this idea from someone that I was like, this is insane. A really, really good use of Culligan's Command. Say you're playing against your opponent, and they just draw a card, and they got one card in their hand. You're like, cool, on your draw step, Culligan's Command, make you discard that card. Because if it's an instant, then they gotta fire it off right there. And what if it's like a useful incident, like a path, and there's nothing to path? That's really awkward. Cool, now they just lost a path, or whatever it is. Destroy target artifact. Oh, hi, that's really, really good with, I don't know, let's see, Affinity. This card actually hoses Affinity. You pretty much just beat Affinity with this deck. Like, if you want a deck that beats Affinity, run this deck, because this deck kills Affinity so hard. You actually just do not lose against that deck. I think I've lost, like, maybe, like, 2 games or something of the time that I've been playing this deck. You just don't lose to Affinity. The matchup is just insane for you because you run this card, and the fact that you run Snapcaster Mage, you know, you look at it and you say, oh, turn 3. What if you're on the you know, on the draw? That doesn't seem super good. Basically, this card says deal 2 damage to your Vault Scourge and get rid of your Cronioplating, pretty much. Card does actually everything. I am in love with this card. I am so sad that I gotta stop playing it. I gotta stop talking about this card because I'm gonna get really emotional because that card's like my favorite. Okay, now we're gonna talk about the Creature Suite. So, pretty straightforward. We're gonna be running 4 Snapcaster Mage in this deck. I feel like some people try to get away with running blue in Modern, blue control decks in Modern that don't run Snapcaster. Here's the secret, you need to. This card does actually everything. This is amazing. Sometimes it's an ambush fiber. Sometimes you just savagely have Snapcaster, you have nothing in your graveyard, or you have nothing you can pay for, and you just block. It blocks a thing, or whatever. Card does everything. I love Snapcaster Mage. Card is incredible. Alright. Hello, we got Tasigur going on here with his little cat, so you get it? That's cute. Okay. So, yeah, let's talk about Tasigur. Card is just a nut house. Card wins you the game. Card cannot be lightning bolted. Yeah, card just does everything. Card gets you back things from your graveyard? Yeah, sounds really sweet. The fact that you can control what's in your graveyard with it when you cast it. If they kill it, you say, cool, Culligan's Command it back, you don't even care. It's a 4/5. It's really hard to remove. It just does everything. I love Tasigur. One of my favorite Magic cards of all time. Then we get to Piankir Nalar. I bumped this number up. I think for a bit I was running 1. I don't even remember what I was running in its place. I think a counterspell or something. And then I was like, you know what? I was like, I really need to bump it up to another one because this card is amazing. The fact that, you know, it's 4 mana for a 2/2 DTB, synergizes amazingly with Culligan's Command. You can sack an artifact and you get to do 2 damage somewhere. Yeah, someone goes to kill it, you're like, sweet. If they kill it, you are like, yes, I'm just gonna Culligan's Command to make more Thopters. Also, they fly. Also, people can't answer that. Yeah. Overall card is just incredible and I love it a lot. And then we're gonna get to the real juice of this deck. If you want to know, like, the really savage thing that I do, because let's be real here, guys, I don't net deck. I say, these are cards I want to run. Let me get inspired by lists. The deck runs a mainboard Keranos. This card just straight up kills people. People can't answer it. There's really no good answers to Keranos, except for, like, Celestial Purge and Sideboard, which no one runs that card, and they should, because that card is nuts, and it gets rid of Keranos. Yeah, so basically Keranos is a lightning bolt every turn, or it's card draw a turn, which gets you to your lightning bolts faster and your kill conditions. Card does absolutely everything. Impossible to kill. Essentially impossible. They can't even path to exile it because it's like never a creature. You don't want it to be a creature. I don't know if it's physically possible to make it a creature in the deck. I honestly don't think it is. Overall, card is amazing. I know a lot of people would run it in Sideboard because it's not good in every matchup, but if you're on the late game, Keranos is just going to grind them down and kill them faster. Card is nuts. Okay, now we're gonna go and talk about the lands. I think I've cracked this mana base. I think this mana base is actually really perfect for what the deck is right now. I haven't really had too many issues. The deck runs, starting off, it runs 3 swamps. Yeah, that seems to be working out pretty okay. Then the deck runs 2 mountains. And the deck runs 3 islands. Yes, Bowl Islands are my favorite because, wait a minute, fill my cup with some Bowl Island in it. Alright, now we move on to the Shocklands. It runs 1 Watery Grave, which is actually just perfect. I don't find myself fetching that land a lot. Steam Vents, which is basically, like, I pretty much just need this land all the time, actually. Yeah, Blood Crypt, 2 of them. I found that 2 actually works really well in this deck. The deck runs a lot of basics too, which is actually, like, really good. Then we got our Manland, which is Creeping Tar Pit. Card is amazing. I love this card so much. Basically, you know, it's a Manland. You make it unblockable, and then it's got flying. Card is overall just really, really, really amazing. Kind of just does everything, and the fact that it can't be blocked is really good. Yeah, it dies to lightning bolts, but hey, that's a lightning bolt that you're not taking to the face. So, overall, card's really good. Now we get into our Fetchland suite. The deck runs 3 Bloodstained Mires, 3 Polluted Deltas, and 1 lone Scalding Tarn because they're actually $1 million. And the last land is a Desolate Lighthouse. Card is nuts. I love that card so much. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about the sideboard here. I'm going to not talk about the sideboard so much because, let's be real here, sideboard is so meta-dependent. I have not changed this sideboard, I don't even know when. Honestly, I think I have not changed the sideboard in months, so I have no idea. The sideboard's actually missing 1 card right now because I let my friend Justin borrow it and I haven't gotten it back yet, but Counter Squall, the card's really good. It's 2 mana, 1 blue, 1 black. Counter target non-creature spell its controller loses 2 life. Definitely a really strong card that I would definitely recommend for this deck. But this is my sideboard. First thing we got or second card, I guess, we have a Dispel. Card is really, really strong. Good in a lot of matchups, super good against Burn because the Burn matchup is just awful. Like, you actually just don't win against Burn. Unless you're like me, and you play Rise Fall, and you cast Fall, and you get 2 Lightning Bolts, in which case you do win. I do remember that game. That was actually really savage. I won that game. That was awesome. But yeah, Dispel gets rid of a lot of things. Negate. This would ideally be another Counter Squall, to be completely honest. If I could, if I had another one. Spell Snare, I really don't like this counterspell. A lot of people love it. No, I don't like this card. I really don't. I don't even know why I'm running it in my sideboard. But it's fine, because I'm taking this deck apart and I'm not going to run it in my other deck. Is it Stratocaster? I was actually just talking about this card with some people. Can I tell you how amazing this card is in so many matchups? You're playing against a token matchup. They're like Intangible Virtue. Cool. Is it Stratocaster? All your tokens in response. You're playing against Affinity. It makes the Affinity matchup even better if that's possible. So they're like, I've got 2 Vault Scourges, cool, they both die. Card kills so many things. Really, really good against Lingering Souls. People are like, your deck doesn't beat Lingering Souls. Cute story how I run an Is It Stratocaster. They kill it. Who cares? I kill against command it back. Card's really good. Deck runs 2 Anger of the Gods. I'm not in love with Anger of the Gods, to be honest. I think that ideally this should be I don't remember what the card is called. It's the Radiant Flames, I think it is. It's like the similar to this, but then you converge it and then they don't go in exile. Card's really bad against your Snapcaster Mage, but hopefully you can just ambush Viper it or whatever, block something, and then it goes to your graveyard so that you can kill against command it back. But card is overall pretty good. It kills a lot of things. In the same realm, we have Languish. This ideally would be a Damnation, but let's be real here. Damnation is actually $1.5 million, so, you know, that's a lot of money. But, Languish is still really solid. It does kill a lot of things. It doesn't kill Siege Rhino, but it kills a lot of things. Yep. The deck runs 3 Crumble Dust. You really, really, really want to win against Tron because your Tron matchup is awful. It's so bad. You don't kill them. You just lose. They're like Urza's whatever, and you just scoop up your cards. That's your response because you just don't win against that deck. The matchup's awful. Cool. Then it runs Vandal Blast. I honestly don't know why. This deck does not need more affinity hate. This could be another spot easily. And then it runs 2 Nihil Spell Bombs. You know, I like this card. I think that, I don't really know what my reason for this not being relics are. I don't really remember. I think Relic, isn't Relic it exiles each player's graveyard? So I think that's why I'm doing this instead. But, yeah, this card is good. I like this. You know, even if I'm doing white in Modern and I'm doing this graveyard deck, I would seriously not run Rest in Peace. I've seen some people do that, and I don't really like that. I don't really agree with that. But yeah, that card's good. And the last card on my sideboard is Deathmark. This is a really underrated card, but a really, really strong card. This card kills a lot of things. Kills the Kitchen Finks, kills the Siege Rhino. Really, really good against Siege Rhino. Like, really good against Siege Rhino. Kills Restoration Angel. So kills, I don't know, other creatures in this format that are green or white. The card overall is really, really amazing. It's 1 mana to do it. It's amazing. overall, what are my opinions of this deck? I like this deck. I think this deck is really sweet. It does need tweaks. Sideboard is just terrible because I just haven't tweaked it. Like, it's not, the sideboard is just definitely really not there. It needs to be more, you know, like, I don't really like talking about sideboard usually anyway, because it's so, like I said, meta dependent, that it just totally depends. If you're going to a big tournament or you're playing at your local game store on Friday night, like, what are you doing? So, yeah. But overall, I mean, if you're thinking of a control deck, and you're not really into the Jeskai thing that's going on right now, the deck's sweet, deck's the nuts, it runs Nahiri and Emrakul. We're going to be talking about that soon, real soon in the video. Spoilers, if you made it to the end of this video, you probably know what deck I'm going to be playing. Yeah. The deck's really awesome. Thanks for watching. You guys are lovely, and I'll talk to you guys later.